Okie Show.
Welcome to the podcast that explores the Heartland's entertainment industry. I forgot my own hook. I'm Brian.
I'm Neil.
And today we're talking about Murphy's Law. And Neil, can you explain what exactly Murphy's Law is to the listeners?
Oh, Murphy's Law. Whatever can happen, will happen.
Just like me forgetting the damn hook.
What is the hook?
It's the podcast that explores the Heartland's entertainment industries, but I had to think about it because I changed it like a couple months ago. And it used to be we're the podcast that dives into the finer details of navigating Oklahoma's film music industry. Like it's just such a mouthful.
Yeah.
And I shortened it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So you got it. You just had to think about it.
Exactly.
Okay.
And say
that
it one
leads
extra
me,
time.
dear listeners, you're probably wondering who is this soothing voice that hasn't been like properly introduced yet. This is Shelly Doppolito.
Oh, me?
Hair extraordinaire.
Who is it? What was I going to say? It surely cannot be me.
Yes, it's you. Oh my goodness! And how would we introduce you? Unit
Me?
production manager,
Yeah,
production
I do a
office
lot of
coordinator.
production stuff. This is her.
Yeah.
This is Hannah Marchant. She
Yeah, that's
does
me.
all sorts of stuff in
Yeah.
production. And
Fixer
kind
of all problems.
Get a little more into some of the things that you do. And then we have the traitor to the cause.
And I'm Lainey.
She quit film, guys. She quit film.
Because
For
of,
good?
because
or-
of Murphy. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Because of Murphy's
evil.
Law.
For
She
evil.
quit film for evil.
Yeah. She doesn't want gray hairs, man. I get it.
And actually, it is kind of cool that you're here because the
I
role
cannot
of Murphy's Law
share-
totally played in your experience.
Well, but I can't really share any of my stories because they're really close to home.
They
involve-
happen
I mean, you
at home.
cannot
They
say
happen
the
at home.
production, but you can share a story.
Well, I mean,
Yes.
so many people involved. Okay, go on.
So we are not
people-
basically
Right,
what
well-
we're all alluding to today is I've gathered you all here. We're just going to tell some crazy on-set stories, and like basically the whole point of this is like we're talking about Murphy's Law. Murphy's Law rules the movie set.
Oh my
Would y'all agree?
Yes.
And as Neil said, whatever can happen will happen. That is never seen, I think, more than on a movie set. So,
And
so
not
we're
just like in a set. Sorry to interrupt.
oh no,
Oh, yeah.
Like
No, by all
in
means.
the production
Yeah.
office. I can't tell you how many times Alex has looked at me, Alex Bohannon, if you're listening, hi.
Hi, Alex.
Just like looked at me like, are you kidding me? Because I'm like, no, I'm not being like, I'm not trying to be like a micromanager. I'm just like, it will go wrong. Like
Oh,
we
yeah.
have to check every box.
Yeah.
We have to be super crazy and OCD about everything because someone will miss their flight. Some like DP will want a random light that we have to drive to Dallas for.
Yeah.
You know.
it's crazy. And Lainey, like whenever you were working in production, you were kind of in art department and you did some PA work.
I did props
What else did you
for
do?
art department, and then
Yeah.
I did a lot of PA work.
And then you were also a production coordinator for a
for
particular show.
a month and a half before I almost killed myself. I don't know how you do it.
Reality show is brutal, people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
I am not geared towards film, and I accept it.
No, that's great.
I accept that.
I mean, it's not for everybody.
I will
really
not
isn't.
linger. I will not ask people to hire me because I know it is not for me, and I am proud. Anyways, go on. I'll get off my
Lainey
soapbox.
Gilliland, 2020.
I hate film. But let's do a
on
show
this platform-
about film.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay, I gotta know what are just going right out the gate. Like, what's one of the craziest? We'll start with you, Neil.
Okay.
What's one of the craziest experiences that you've had on set where just things did not go as planned?
Oh, man. Well, I mean, I've got so many. Like, I've been on sets where there were, like, poisonous snakes, like rattlesnakes that just show up out of nowhere. I've been on sets where, like, I was on a film where a rig fell down because of some wind and, like...
Dude.
You mean like what kind of
Oklahoma.
Like
Yeah.
like 12 by with
Okay.
you know
Yeah.
this
The big, Trying to think of
I'm
a
not
good
grip,
layman
so I
way
don't
of
know
explaining that.
It's
to
like a
people
big
listening.
Yeah.
square thing
Yeah,
up in
with-
the air.
It's a
that
giant
has a lot
sail
of wind
that
reasons.
is
Yeah, it's a
asking to be
sail
blown over.
it's a
Exactly.
sail to diffuse light.
Oh.
So yeah, I've seen those tip over. I was filming in a museum one time and had one of my coworkers, an accident had happened and ended up putting a hole in a painting that was on the wall.
No.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
Okay,
buddy.
tell that story.
Yeah.
What
Okay.
happened?
So we were filming at this location that they had. Yeah. She's like, I know what you're talking about.
Almost said the name.
No names.
We were filming.
We're not saying any names of the movies that we're working on or any of the names of the people that we're working with.
Keep them anonymous. But we were working on this film, and we were filming at this location that just so happens to be a like they use it as a museum for display because it's a pretty old
Right.
home, and
Yeah.
the people and I was working locations on this too, so this was like directly.
So this was your
Affected
job.
Yeah, this
you,
was
affected
me.
you.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is me, like my department, you know.
So already we're basically in like a museum where you're kind of like
Yeah,
walking on
I'm like,
eggshells.
don't put your drink there. Like,
Please,
put
God.
signs up. Put signs up right now. Wipe your feet. You know, and so, and like, of course, like. So a lot of times you don't realize, like when you're shooting outside or exteriors and you have a film crew, it doesn't seem like there are a whole lot of people. But when you get inside a house and then all of a sudden there are like 20 or 30 people inside of a house, you don't realize how packed it can be. Accidents happen, you know. And it was a C-stand that was holding a monitor for a video village had tipped because there was no sandbag on it, and it ended up popping a hole in this painting. And the lady who had given me a tour before we had came in had talked about how all these paintings were originals.
Was she
So-
like walking along?
Yeah,
and
like,
this
this
is like
painting
1,000 years
is worth
old, and you definitely
$3
don't want to
million.
damage that particular painting
You're
because
letting
if
us
you
shoot
do,
your
a
wife?
ghost will haunt you forever.
Yeah, exactly. And I was
But
terrified.
you particularly, no matter who else does it, no matter who else
Yeah.
touches it, fingerprint,
It's on you.
Yeah.
If
You were
I'm
will be
coming to you,
haunted.
buddy.
yeah, only you,
So the
nobody
stakes
else.
Yeah.
were high.
Yeah, stakes are real high, real high. And man, I knew that something was up because the person had came up to me and like a bead of sweat is slowly rolling down their.
I wish we could say names right now because
Right, I know. I'm
No,
like,
we can't.
Can we have our own like thing
Right,
that
we're
nobody
like,
else can
"Oh,
see?
little
We
side
need a
powwow,
little white.
like,
We
I
do
know,
need a
we're not
whiteboard.
So-
Hey, our
Nick
stickers
Man.
that marker does not work, and you can just smidge it off.
yeah,
Just write it on your hand.
Secrets.
right, yeah. So everyone knows.
Anyone
Yeah.
knows sign language?
Yeah. So, anyways, he comes up to me and he's distressed, man. He's shook like hard, and I'm like, "What's up, dude? Like, what's wrong? I'm your boy, baby. Like, tell me, I'll fix it, you know?" And because that's my mentality about everything. And he's like, "I don't know, dude. I don't think this is fixable." I'm like, "Okay, well, what's wrong, you know?" So he takes me to this painting, and it's got a hole in it that's like the size of a silver dollar. And I'm thinking to myself, like, "Oh, this is." I was like, "I'm toast. We're all fired. The movie's over. We're done. This is the end of the world." You know. So I go to the lady, and I tell her, I'm like, "Hey, so small minor detail. We've learned our lesson, and we're not going to do this again. But just so you know, we might have popped on a little painting." And she's like, "What? What'd you say?" You know,
ghost will haunt you.
I popped a hole in a painting, and so she
That's the
immediately.
wording you use.
She's like, "What else am I going to say?" So there was a slight
There's a
tear.
minor snafu with the painting that we have
man.
in this establishment.
Right? I know a guy. I can totally fix it, man.
It just reminds me of that scene from Mr. Bean, the movie, when he like sneezes on the painting and then he like tries to fix the painting.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And like, only me and him knew. So I was thinking about just like, well, I can't just not say anything because then that looks bad on Oklahoma film.
Everybody, yeah.
Exactly. So she didn't even say a word to me. She just immediately calls their insurance adjuster and agent and stuff. And okay, so like I said, every painting in this house was an original, except for the one painting that we popped.
Yes.
So it has a good
There is a
ending.
God.
They paid $200 for the painting, and they were like, "It's no big deal."
Oh man.
I know.
Awesome.
That was
I was hoping
sweating
you got
bullets
yelled
that
at. I
day.
wanted to hear that story.
Oh man.
So Shelly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Your turn.
I'm curious. Okay, so you were on this one movie that shot here recently.
Yes.
And this thing shot for months.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Multiple months.
I heard so many stories from this movie because I worked on it a little bit. Like I was a day player here and there, and I think I saw you and high fived you.
Yeah, multiple platforms that you were. Yeah,
I know they were just bouncing me around.
Yeah,
like, I
all
was in
over
the
the place.
production office, and then they sent me on set to be DIT, and then or was I DIT?
No.
Or I was playback.
Yes,
and then I
yes.
was sound utility. So they were just like working me through every department.
Yep.
Possible. And my
mean,
first day
not
on
here,
this
but
movie, I
whatever.
showed up and it was the champagne roll. And it was my first day on the set, and I was like, I've worked hard
I'm
for
sorry.
this, guys.
Did we have a champagne roll?
Oh, we had a champagne
Oh,
roll.
were you not invited to that party?
I was not invited to that party. Are you serious?
Oh, yeah. And
Wait,
for,
I'm
for the
sorry.
listeners, the champagne roll is whenever we've hit 100
I'm
cards.
sorry.
Now it's cards on the camera, so it's like,
Shelly's
Yes.
stewing over here.
So there was a champagne roll,
oh yes,
and there was champagne.
oh yes.
Oh wait, it was only with camera department, wasn't it?
Maybe because
Yes,
I
okay.
was with the camera department.
Yes. Okay.
At that
okay.
time.
I'm fine with this now
So I
because I
enjoyed
do remember it
champagne.
now. I was like,
Okay.
I'm
where
on,
was
I'm
this?
on.
Because usually it is usually crew wide.
Yeah.
It was not on this one.
Yeah, that sucked.
Yeah.
But it was great for me because
Yeah, good for you.
I got more champagne
Hey yo.
on my first day of work.
Like, do you got any
But
orange
on this
juice?
particular movie, there was. I just heard so many things that happened, but I want to know because
Every day.
I got called in
Starting day
to.
one.
They wanted me to fill in as the mixer, like to be the department head because there was like something that was going around the set. Do you remember this?
Something going around the set
There was like
when we were in
a
Tulsa.
sickness. The whole crew
Yes.
was down with the sickness.
Can I say the sickness?
Yes,
Meningitis.
which I still don't even know what that is.
It is
It can be
a
deadly.
very serious illness where if you come down with meningitis, that is the right word, right?
You can
meningitis.
I think so because I
Yeah,
remember
because you
they
have,
called me.
because if you have meningitis, the only way to test it is to have a spinal tap.
Oh,
Not just a movie.
All the way to
It is an
11.
actual process.
year.
An actual process that you have to go through is a spinal tap.
did you have a spinal tap?
I did not have a spinal tap. No, you only had a spinal tap if you had like 2 to 3 out of 3 to 4 symptoms. Yeah. So one of the people on set had to go to the hospital. And then he, because of his symptoms, went into quarantine almost.
Oh my god.
And so he calls production and like his department head and says, this is what's happening. And so then the hospital puts him in quarantine and like says, it looks like it's meningitis. So we're going to give him, we've done the test already. It takes 24 hours for the test to come through. But within that 24 hours, it had gotten out that he might possibly have this. So then because of it's a huge deal. FCC? I don't know what the
OSHA?
something like that.
Probably OSHA,
You
yeah.
have to, if somebody has this disease, you have to tell everybody in their working crew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it got out.
Someone had feline AIDS.
Exactly.
You have to tell everyone.
Have to tell everybody. Everybody. So they came out on set and had our nurse person, medic. Shut up, I know.
yes.
It's all got words.
person.
I'm on camera and all my words go away. Our medic had to come out and say that someone may possibly have meningitis. So if you
What did-
have
what did everybody
these
do?
symptoms, please come and talk to us. We will have a booth area kind of set up. We will screen you. If we feel like you have it, we will send you to the hospital. You will have to have a spinal tap. So,
Oh my God.
I don't know if they actually said
I'm
Spinal
just-
Tap in the.
What did the crew
meeting.
do? Like when
So we're in an enclosed area. We've been inside. It's the middle of the winter in Tulsa, in Oklahoma, and it's snowing and it's cold. So we're inside and we're shooting all these things. Everybody is in an enclosed area. So if somebody
it's
has
an incubator.
Yeah.
it
Airborne
somebody has it,
pathogen.
everybody's gonna have it. Luckily, this had been before, a few days before, and so it's like it could have been in here or it could not be here. It's one of those. It's one of the two things. It's either here or it's not.
I've seen the movie Outbreak.
Right?
Yeah,
You got
exactly.
it?
It's either
Or you
here or it's
don't?
not.
I
It's either
remember
here or it's
Dustin
not.
Hoffman's panic
So-
face.
So we have actors on set. We have our crew that's all there. We have background players. We have our cat. Everybody. It's just there. And so they say these are the factors. Come see us if you have 2 out of 5. Sort of thing. And so the people who had it went and saw them. They got tested. They either got sent to the hospital or they did not. So, I think 2 people out of the entire cast and crew, which is actually kind of giant at this point, only 2 had to go and they had to get spinal taps.
Oh my gosh.
Did the test come back?
No meningitis.
Oh wow.
So the whole thing was false, but still, just
It
the
was.
fact that
It
there's
was
a
no.
scare.
It was a pre. It was predetermined. So
Ugh.
or not predetermined. It was like
Preemptive.
before emptive. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
the person who had it the first, had gone in, they thought it was meningitis, but they said the word meningitis before the 24-hour period of the test had
Right.
been
You can't
concluded.
So
do
you just,
that.
Exactly.
Because that was the thing. So the sound mixer called me and he was like, "Hey, would you like to? Could you cover for me for a couple
Yeah.
days?" And I was like, "Why?" Like I was just a sound
Yeah.
utility. Sound utility is like the intern of the sound department.
Yeah.
And he was
like,
like,
"Well,
"Well, there's a thing going around."
He
and,
was the one. He was one of 2 people that had to have the.
He was one of it. Yeah, 'cause
Spinal
it was like-
tap.
he was like, "I got something." I was like, "What'd you get?" I was like, "I think it's meningitis." And like my dumb ass is just like, "Meningitis?"
Oh, that sucks
Sorry,
for
man.
you.
The
Yeah.
availabilities can't make it. Sorry. Like, but it just did.
Did you say no?
I told him no, but it was because of availability. Because I was like, damn, that's a really good paycheck. It's like I could just.
Said no. That's amazing.
Well, because I didn't realize the gravity of the situation. So I'm just like, nah, sorry, bro.
Yeah. Can't do it, man. Can't do it.
But that's not the only time that a sickness has hit a movie set. Because, like,
No.
God bless America. Like,
But meningitis.
meningitis. That's on a level of scary shit that's
Yeah,
Right.
because that's when
crazy.
you don't want to touch anybody. You don't want to talk to anybody. You don't want to be in the same space
Oh, yeah.
because you're like, it could be here. I mean, but at that point, it's like
Be
you're either
here.
infected or you're not.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Meanwhile, over here, Neil's panicking over a hole in a
I
painting.
know. Yeah, dude. It's like, it's our boom up has Ebola. This isn't good.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
Show must go on.
So Hannah, okay. Now that the bar is raised a little high, we should have saved yours for
I
last.
know meningitis is
Yeah.
up here.
Massive
Death disease.
killer outbreak. So
Well, okay. Can I do like a scramble of like short stories?
yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so that reminds me. Do you remember having paella in Jones?
In
Oh.
Jones.
It's like a saffron.
Yes.
Did you get sick from it?
I did not.
Okay. I don't know if that's the cause. Let me just say. But I will say that several people got like vomity. And then I took some of that leftover home.
Oh no.
And I got vomity and other things. And so did my
was
husband.
like that scene from
like
Bridesmaids?
10 hours later.
Oh gosh,
You
no.
know that he
You
ate
brought it home, and he's
Yeah.
oh poor guy.
You're like,
That
have
was like
this,
the
honey.
last
You're gonna
day
love
on
it.
set, though.
It's amazing.
Last or
He's like,
second
babe,
to last day on
Are you
set.
poisoning me?
I in Jones. No, I was there for the last day.
Yeah, not everyone. It was just
Yeah.
like I think
There
people
was
whose
a-
immune systems were already down.
Yeah.
Like mine because I was running food to set every day.
You were working a lot crazier hours
Yeah.
than some of us. But like there was a certain movie that came through, and I was not able to actually make it to rap day because I had
Very
fluids
sick.
evacuating my body from every orifice.
Yes.
and
And I
Lainey here
got
had
to
to
witness
save the
it.
day.
But it wasn't from the saffron or whatever she said.
No, it
No.
wasn't from food poisoning. It was from flu. But
Yeah.
but apparently I heard back. The whole time I'm in bed, like. Meanwhile, on set, everyone else is soldiering on while feeling the same way I am.
No. You looked like a concentration camp victim.
Dude.
It was bad.
that too
it was
far?
bad. It was one of
No.
those
I-
where
no,
like
is that
I
too
mean,
far?
sometimes,
I say crucifixion, Jesus. Like, you look real rough. So
You look a little rough. Well, he looked like death, and
I felt like
there you
death.
go.
and
And my butt agreed.
your lips were like non-existent. They like sucked into your head. Your eyes
It
are
was a
all
symptom.
buggy.
Scurvy.
Yeah.
And you were running to the bathroom a lot. And
Okay,
there was
have you
just
ever had
no
the
way.
situation where
You don't know
puking,
whether to
you're
sit or
mid-puke,
kneel?
and then
Yes,
the
yes.
other end starts to
Yeah. And
you're-
want to, and you're like,
bathroom rug
oh
is
no,
gone."
I can't multitask.
Yeah.
But part of every person has had this moment where you're puking, you realize I'm about to shit myself, and you think to yourself, maybe I can swing my butt
No.
and get that while puking.
I never
no
had
one's
that
successfully
thought.
done the old
No,
puke.
it was like I would rather puke in the tub.
God, bro. Yeah,
And
exactly.
the other stuff in the
that
toilet.
Maybe if I
Exactly.
extend
Trash
myself
can.
over the tub.
Jeez, man, that sounds like an Olympic sport. Like, oh my gosh.
It's the toilet, the poop vault.
Yeah, dude, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
After a while, like whenever you got a little better, you were like still barfing like constantly. And
Guess who had to run his puke out?
Oh,
Oh yeah, she had to
Oh,
empty the
good
trough.
me, man.
Poor gal.
And yes,
Something
buckets
like
are
that.
also a thing.
My husband's like,
I
"Ow."
said buckets are also a
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
not just the toilet and the tub.
Yeah.
It was bad. It was bad.
or the sink.
Or the
Sometimes
thing.
when you're on your like
Like,
why did you
first
just
round
get, like,
of
a
it,
bag?
and
Oh,
you
dude.
just like
It was
think
like
you just-
hourly.
You're just
hourly,
there.
it would cycle through, and
And I kept asking
and
you,
then-
I was like, do we need to go to the emergency room? And you're like, no, I'm fine. And like 5 hours later, you're still puking. You're like disintegrating. You're melting into the bed. Like, do
I'm
we need to
thinking
go?
dollar signs. I'm seeing all those dollar digits of like one emergency room visit, $5,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't go to the emergency room. Go to the minor emergency clinic
Yeah.
thingy.
Yeah.
Go
We
to
don't,
the.
we don't think of stuff like that. It's death or emergency room. You gotta learn.
We don't
Is
know.
there an in between room? There's
Urgent-
like emergency room and then
care.
like
No.
the old checkup room of like,
No.
you know what? It's my time for my annual physical.
urgent care?
No, urgent
right?
care /
Yeah,
minor
well,
emergency. The thing that I was just
been
thinking about.
Urgent
stuck in.
care?
Urgent
Yeah.
care.
To me, that says emergency room.
No,
No.
it's not
That's-
the same.
yeah.
I promise you, it's
Urgent
not.
is
It's
not
urgent,
emergency?
but it's not.
Yeah.
Like if
It's
your
not
mom
as expensive.
hits
And-
a corner and she's bleeding, but it's not gushing, you take her to the urgent care
Yeah,
and get
but if-
staples.
We need to take care of this urgently.
Yeah,
Did I
exactly.
tell you?
But
True
if you're
story.
trimming
Yeah.
a tree
Oh, yeah,
and
we need to
cut
get
your
back
leg
to-
off,
This is
that's
emergency.
yeah, that's emergency.
Yeah.
Super duper
Okay.
emergencies.
So yes, Hannah, I totally cut you off. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Now, also another, just like injuries in general. Like on this one show, we had a lot of student workers,
Oh no. Yeah.
and all of the workers' comp claims were from the students. And I think there were 10.
Oh my!
I think I know the story you're going to tell. Please tell it.
Oh,
There was one
he
particular
got a tick
claim.
on his.
yes,
Yes.
What?
Yes.
But that
tell
was-
the story from the
okay.
beginning.
All the workers' comp claim was for his back. But he also, like, so we had 2 student workers in the office, and this kid was just having a lot of trouble. And all of the students, I'm not saying that was his deal, but like all of the students apparently were partying hard, hooking up, doing
Right.
all kinds
Yep.
of shit.
life in the fast lane.
And yeah.
You wouldn't know anything about that, would you?
Except for
Hannah?
my
done
sweet
that.
student workers, they were amazing. And they would get all
Because you know
these-
how to get them in line.
Yeah. They know it's serious in the office.
This is real life, you guys.
Yeah. They but they would get all the requests. They would all text them first I'd be like, you need to tell them they need to contact me or Alex first. They do not need to go through you. You know, they need to follow the chain of command. But they didn't really do that. But he like texted a picture of a tick to like the group of students, not like on himself.
It wasn't still attached.
But like in the bathroom,
is this a
in
tick?
a bathtub.
That is a tick, but that is also your member.
Yeah, so it got on his.
You can say John.
What a weird, inadvertent way to send a dick pic.
Yeah.
Right?
Hey,
Like the whole time you're genuinely curious.
what is that song that your dad sings
Oh no.
all the time?
There's a skeeter on your Peter. Knock it
Oh,
off.
okay, but it's about a mosquito. It's about a mosquito, not a tick. He sings it all the time.
I thought it was gonna be I want to check you for ticks.
Oh my
There's a
god.
skeeter on your Peter. There's a tick on your.
Yeah.
Skeeter on your Peter. Knock it off.
No, we don't need to.
There's a skeeter on your
There's
Peter.
got
Knock
to be
it
a
off.
third thing.
Gosh, what did you
So
guys
wrap
learn
that
at
up.
summer camp? Like, geez.
I don't know. I only went to church camp and cheer camp.
Falls Creek.
Could be just as bad.
Yeah.
You learn things at Falls
Yeah,
Creek.
that story, man.
So a kid got a tick on his dick.
Yeah.
There was another workman's comp at the same show that got all of the meningitis.
Meningitis, yeah.
Where a dude like
Like the workers'
What are
comp.
we talking about?
there was
Person
I don't know
knows
if you were here for this, but there was
AIG.
there was a camera operator who flew in from Georgia, and the director was like kind of like rushing everybody. He was like, come on. And so this guy, he was kind of an older fellow, and he picked up the camera rig a bit too quickly, and he had just arrived, and he broke his back instantly.
No.
He was old and frail.
No.
And he was an AC that picked up the camera, and then he broke his freaking back. I didn't even know that could happen.
Oh my god, it was so bad. But there were so many. There's so.
Why are you laughing so hard?
Because it's so random. It's like, how does that
It's just. It was the look
crazy
of the
right now.
movie.
Yeah.
It was okay. So it was one of those weird things because it really was. It was he picked up stuff and like. Yeah, he broke his back. But then like 2 days later, like, no, he didn't actually break
This
his
is
back.
gonna sound like
He
the most
didn't-
sadistic section of this whole
it was like
episode.
he broke his back, and you're like, oh my god, are you serious? And then it turns out maybe he didn't break his back, but then he broke his back. It was just
I
like,
just remember because he was a replacement for somebody that got fired.
yeah,
Because the director was firing people like crazy.
all the time.
And crazy shit kept happening on this set, and this dude, it was just amazing to me that he like showed up. Hello, everyone. I mean, just he picked it up and he's not paralyzed or something like that. It was
No,
just
he
like
was not paralyzed.
It was like a disc
It
or
was
something like that.
it's just like a slipped thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's fine now, which is why I'm
sure.
laughing, because like if the end of that was and he's dead, that would be
Right?
horrible.
Yeah.
But
Terrible.
But only
we
one of
don't
his
know. We don't know
vertebrae
his life.
was
We don't know-
sideways.
We don't know him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he made it out okay.
Exactly.
Do we?
He's retired now.
Do we?
But there was just
he has to be.
crazy ass stuff like that.
No,
Like, how does that happen?
it was so crazy. It really, I mean, like, this movie is definitely the Murphy's Law of all.
Yeah.
Wait, this is all in the same.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
the same.
Oh yeah. And then like a few days later, I was on set, and this is whenever I was working playback. So I'm sitting by DIT, like where the director sits, and then all of a sudden our gaffer, he was
sorry.
like this big husky dude. Our gaffer starts having some kind of an issue, and so like the guy started having a heart attack right there on
What?
set, and it was just another. I mean, like, and this was not funny at all. Like it was.
But the breaking the back was funny. But this wasn't funny. What? Why do you get to decide?
You could have been there.
Where's the line? Where's the line
of
here?
tragedy and comedy here.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
It was funny, damn it. The heart attack was not. And he actually didn't have like a full-on heart attack. He was just having like a heart arrhythmia or
I don't
something
know
like
what you're
that.
talking about.
Heart palpitation.
Heart palpitation. He was an older fella, and like the medic had to call an ambulance and everything. And so it was just like, and it was
On
on
who?
the same movie. It was the gaffer, older guy. And it was just
One or
crazy to
two?
me.
First one or second one?
The first one? I think.
From here?
No. Okay, so
Okay.
yeah, he was the replacement guy.
Okay.
That was the thing on the
Really?
Grip Electric
I
crew,
don't
like they
remember seeing
replaced
that.
everybody.
Also, we were not allowed to have monitors. So.
Yeah. This movie was kind of a
What?
I'll just say it. It was a clusterfuck because of the director.
That's
Would you agree?
That's what I've heard.
Yes.
Power hungry.
I
man.
would.
We
I didn't
haven't
work
named
on
any
it.
names.
Yeah, no names.
But I did not know that happened.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, like he was back to work like the next day. So
Right,
it was,
right.
But it was still just like this crazy.
Wait, okay,
hit.
wait.
There's
Do you
just
mean the
no
gaff
way
or
that
the
you can
key
plan
grip?
for that. Huh?
Do you mean the gaff or the key grip?
May have been the key grip.
I think it was the key grip.
Yeah. How dare you?
I know, and I don't know if that
Bump
just
that
screwed
mic.
up everything else and all of the things.
Jay's sitting in the other room holding his ears now.
Yeah, I know. I'm
Oh my
sorry,
gosh.
Jay.
So okay.
Onset injuries, though, man. Like,
Yeah, there's no planning for that at all.
I've never experienced anything that, like, I mean, I was on the film with the tick on the tip of the penis, which, I mean, for him, that sucked. No pun intended. But like,
Was it though?
For
Was
real.
it not
I mean-
intended?
I mean,
but,
he
I
wanted
did-
some action,
I
and he
mean-
ain't got it
oh, goodness gracious. Okay,
from
so
old dear Tick McGee.
I worked on this film, and this is probably the gnarliest injury I've ever seen. And we were just so happened to be doing a scene on top of a stage, like we were inside of a church, and there was a stage, and it was a pretty big fall. Like, I mean, it was probably
wasn't there
the
for that.
stage was like probably like at least chest height.
Yeah.
On me, so I mean, it's probably four and a half feet up. And one of our ADs was just he was on stage, kind of helping out, and
Remember the person
did
now.
not realize where he was on the stage. You know, and all the theater peoples who are listening right now, they're like, "Oh my God, what an amateur!" You know, but he wasn't paying attention to the edge, and I felt so bad for him because, like, the person fell and. He messed
know how to
up
fix that.
his knee. Like, he fell so hard. Like, I feel like it shook the whole building. He fell so hard, you know? And what was even worse is, like, we have this giant church that's probably filled with 300 extras. And they just all watch this dude bust his ass so hard, you know? And, like, if you've ever fell in front of people or even by yourself,
embarrassing.
you're immediately like, did anybody see me?
Are we laughing about this?
Massive
Yeah.
audience is like, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
we did.
And you
So,
jump
like,
up and you're like, I'm okay.
Yeah,
Did he jump up and do
no,
that?
he did not.
no.
Everyone's in the
Like a
audience
grape
was
lady.
like, oh, and like the person tried to get up,
Grape lady.
but like obviously his knee was jacked, so like he's trying to get up, but it wasn't working, so he's just falling back down.
Everyone's just
Exactly, his pants are falling off. And it was so.
The worst part.
It was so bad. It was so bad. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, oh my God, we gotta help this guy. Like, call on-set medic. Like, immediately, this is an emergency. This guy's leg is broken off.
Oh my
you know?
God.
And I know, and that was another crazy thing. Like, on-set medic comes up, and I mean, he's obviously not equipped to deal with what had just happened.
I mean,
So,
like an on-set medic for the most part around here on low-budget stuff has like fucking Tylenol and an inhaler.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he put a splint on it with cardboard, and
No.
It's a bamboo stick.
and
Found a rubber tree.
Yeah, he had
Became
to,
the MacGyver of
and
medics.
it's
yeah,
good.
he had to chill on set, and I mean, it actually, like, I mean, this is horrible to say, but it worked out for me because I got to move up in position. So
Wow.
I did.
Is that the moral of
It
the
was,
story?
Exactly.
kneel in the sanctuary with a spoon.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's like one of those moments where, like, the coach comes up to the second string quarterback.
You got this, right?
Yeah, he's like, yo, we're putting you in, buddy. He's like,
Dude.
Okay, wait.
Don't feel bad though, because I can't tell you how many stories I've heard from people that have like they got their start doing the job that they do for a living now because somebody got sick or somebody got
Yes,
hurt.
me.
Really?
Ooh,
Well,
No.
someone
Please
didn't get
tell.
sick. She was working in Minnesota on a
No,
project.
say it right.
Oh yeah.
Say Minnesota.
Minnesota.
In my bag.
in my bag, you betcha.
Okay, two stories from a recent film. Speaking of Neil moving up in roles.
Oh.
Mr. Wrestling Coordinator
Yeah.
over there.
Talk
Let's talk about when you injured the lead.
The lead actor.
dude.
Fail.
Duking it out with the dude.
Fail.
Which, to
I
your
thought I
credit,
was
it
fired.
looked fantastic. Like it looked
Yeah.
real.
Yeah, well,
because
we had
it was,
we
I
had
guess.
a, we had a, because I physically abused the lead actor. And it is what it is.
It's like wrestling is a central theme or like something that occurs a lot in this movie.
of the plot of the film. And I was doing multiple things on this film. So I was locations manager and then the wrestling coordinate. And so match choreography.
Wait, have you actually wrestled?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I
can tell,
I
too.
can show you some
And
videos
I gotta tell
of
you,
him
like, you
coaching.
killed it.
Yeah.
on that
Coach
movie.
Neil.
Yeah, I started.
Oh,
I
precious.
started wrestling in Pee Wee and through high
Okay.
school. And so,
Okay. I didn't know this.
Yeah, I was a wrestling consultant, and then anything that dealt with folk style wrestling had to go through me first, and I could improve it. And I also was one of the actors who play in the film as one of the wrestlers who do the stunt wrestling and stuff.
And this is when you had to shave your head, right?
Yeah. For those of you who've watched, I had to cut my hair for this.
His hair's gone.
Yeah, I was cool with it. I got to donate it to Kids for Wigs, so it worked out.
And speaking of the multitasking of Neil, Shelly, he cuts hair.
Yeah,
I know this.
This is
right.
crazy.
I've tried.
that's right.
I tried on a film, and he was like, "But I have to be boom up right now."
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, "I need someone
You're like-
tomorrow."
You're like, please, just
and he's like, "I am booked in art department tomorrow."
yeah, exactly. It's like all you have to do is comb down the flyaways.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, he's like,
That's the one thing I keep
two
forgetting. You
other
could
people
totally
on
be
set
a
have
fill-in
already
on-
asked me to help them, and I'm like, dang it.
Yeah, man.
High
So
demand.
we had done.
We've had talks.
We were shooting this scene, and me and this actor, the lead actor, shout out, by the way, because he was amazing. Never wrestled a day in his life, and just came in and we worked for 2 weeks, just working super hard, training, and so he could learn and make everything look as realistic as possible. And of course, when you're rehearsing, everything's perfect, and everything goes perfectly, and nobody gets hurt. It's just we're killing it every time, And then when the cameras come into effect, then actors change their mindsets. Yeah, exactly. So
This thing.
so he was going a little harder. We both were. We both were. It was kind of both of us where we were on our game, really
Nobody
trying to
was
make
trying
it
to
look
be,
good.
harder
And
than the other. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And so we had shot a couple wides, and then we'd moved in for a few mediums. So we had wrestled this match. We'd already wrestled the match probably at least a good 5 or 6 times. We were gassed. So they move in for the close-ups handheld, and the DP is just running around the mat handheld style, just shooting us close up. And in the match, there's a point where we tie up, and in wrestling, that's where you grab each other by the neck and pull each other in to kind of wrestle. And
Embrace each other.
yeah,
love.
exactly.
Just
yeah.
hug a lot.
Yeah, it's a really loving sport. And, yeah, so we pulled each other in, and we had hit heads. I think that's when it happened. He had said that he was what he said was he was above me and I was coming up and I hit him. But I remember what I remember where it happened for me was
What I'm saying is.
yeah, exactly. Not saying that either of us are wrong or right or anything, because it was happening so fast. It was crazy. We tied up, we bumped heads, and we wrestled the whole take, which applaud to him, because that obviously had to have hurt super, super bad.
Black eye.
My head is hard as a rock. So yeah, literally it wasn't even, it hadn't even, we had hit heads, and it hadn't even been 30 seconds when they yelled cut, and it already looked like he had a goose egg on his face, it was.
You broke the actor.
It was bad, yeah. And I was in what I wasn't even thinking about the actor at the time. I was like, oh my gosh, he's gonna have a black eye, and we've already filmed scenes that happened after the match without a black eye.
Continuity.
Yeah, exactly. I'm thinking they're gonna have to reshoot this stuff.
Yeah.
And
or
we
I'm
have-
fired.
From Facebook Live, Diane LaCrone says Neil Newby beat up the nicest guy on set.
I did.
No,
I
Thank
did.
you, Diane.
Two nicest
Yes,
guys on
exactly,
set
right?
duked it out.
He was, and you know what? Like me and the actor were still buds, and we talk, and he was totally cool about it. He gave me a hard time about it because he had never had a black eye in his life. I gave him his first one.
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
Dang.
Yeah.
Has anybody else had a black eye in their life?
I have because of a really pansy
This one
fight.
over here.
Because of her.
To
It had to do with that incident with fluids.
Yeah. I mean, like,
Trying
it
to
was
do the
Shut
peak vault.
up.
violence, vomiting, diarrhea, and I just pummeled myself in the face.
But that was it was a bad deal though, man. Like
Yeah, I mean, there
remember-
was like a meeting about continuity. They
Yeah.
like added a script day to the whole thing. Like
Oh, I
Tony
didn't
brought in a
realize
special
that.
effects artist for one, like our last shoot,
not
the
Yeah.
next to last shoot day at the
to recreate the black eye.
to
And-
get the puffiness because it was like a day after it had happened. in the
And
script.
I was talking because I mean, in the sport of wrestling, it's super common. It happens all the time. Broken noses, black eyes, those things happen. And I pulled the producer aside because the actor, he was like, no, like, let's keep going. Let's do another take. And I want to do this because it's big and it looks great and it's going to look awesome on camera. And I pulled our producer aside and I was like, look, bro, like, I'm telling you right now that if we don't start icing that thing right now, like start trying to press it out like they do boxers and trying to
exactly.
fix this, like his eye's going to be closed tomorrow. And so, of course, they got some ice and stuff and they gave it to the actor. And, he was just kind of putting it on there whenever, but he wasn't because they were shooting his close-ups and he wanted this thing on his face that makes him look so much meaner and the scene was so much more raw and looked so much better with it.
Yeah.
And the director, it's funny, the director ended up thanking me another a week and a half into the shoot because he had this awesome black eye, and he had a cast on an arm and a black eye and it looked great. And he was like, dude, that it set it off, completely changed the whole vibe.
That actually leads me to, I actually do have just a couple tiny questions, taking a crazy Murphy's Law story like that and then how it is actually kind of turned into something that benefits the production. Because that actually can happen, which is crazy. And that's to me, anybody who can take a crazy bad situation and turn it around to where it's a benefit is you should be president. That's amazing.
Yeah.
But do you guys have any stories like that where something horrible happened and then and you guys were able to kind of work it out?
Well, I suggested arnica gel for him, that actor,
did.
because a year prior, an actress had been accidentally hit by a fake gun, a prop gun, and that's
it was a fake gun that was actually metal, hard metal.
Yeah.
Oh, was it a rubber?
It was not a rubber gun. They
didn't.
didn't switch it out. They're supposed to switch it out for a stunt rubber gun, and they used the real fucking metal gun.
And she
the
got
guy,
pistol whipped.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for real. And
She
it
went
was
to
a
the
thing,
ER.
dude. It was a thing.
Did she
Yeah.
bleed?
Yes,
yeah.
very much so.
Yeah, they took her to the ER. Yeah.
Was she a
Had to deal
But
with that
arnica
medical
is a
bill,
thing
a
of
year
something
after.
that does something.
Yeah, it's like a natural homeopathic pain and swelling reliever. So, but yeah, I mean that was a cool situation.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of times turns out okay. That's what I was thinking. A lot of times it turns out okay. For instance, on a show, they wanted to replace a door on a cop, an existing cop's car, and ram into it. And
Interesting.
there was a miscommunication where that information never got to me nor the person who was communicating with the cops.
Yeah.
Wink, wink. And so the day of the cop shows up, and I'm like, you want to do what? And I called someone, and they were thankfully like my verbal punching bag because I've never been so livid on set.
Dude.
I was so mad.
So they wanted to wreck into like a actual police car.
Yeah, but with a replaced door that they had like they custom
Made
bought.
for-
Oh,
Right,
okay. So they're just
okay.
gonna
But, you
wreck
know,
into
like,
the door.
I'm like,
Only
it's
the
gonna,
door.
and not the rest of
Nothing
the
else
car.
can
right. And like
possibly
Murphy's
happen.
Law, I'm like, no, something wrong is gonna happen because that's what happens.
Yeah.
And so that's why I got so mad because I didn't even know about it, or else, you know, like I would have been like, no, this is a dumb decision.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were
And it's
just
funny
trying. They were
because-
trying to problem solve. So, like, I understand they were just trying to make it work and make the director happy. So then it turned into they went to the director and were like, in the DP, and like, you have to figure out a different way to do this.
Yeah.
And they figured out a different way to do it. And is it better or worse for the film? I don't know, but they had to deal with it.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the thing. Like, I'm curious how you guys, like, how do you inherit and like, you're in the vanities
Yeah.
department.
Yeah.
Like, how much preparation for Murphy's Law do you have to do?
Oh my God, you have to
You guys have
prepare
so much
for
stuff.
anything and everything that could possibly be asked of you at any point in time during the entire script, the entire filming. Because if they decide to switch this scene for this scene during this day, and you're like, but that's not supposed to be for 2 weeks, so I didn't have to prepare for that, so I don't have a wig, or I don't have the hair pieces, or I don't have the look, or I don't have the color for that at this moment, but they want you to be prepared for everything and anything at all times possible.
Literally rain, sleet.
Yeah.
Hail.
So I mean in my trailer, I have probably 12 bins of things in my house at this moment that are only for hair production hair for any movie, and like depends on the amount of the budget. I will take 2, or I will take all 12, or 14 at some points. Like, I add things all the time. So, like, am I going to have wigs? Am I going to have... Is there going to be rain? Is there going to be this? Like, I have a weather basket. I have a wig, multiple containers. Like, there is something for everything in my kit. And... yeah, I mean, I try to be prepared for everything. I'm not going to be able to just pull anything out of
It's not a Mary Poppins
ever.
bag.
Right.
I don't have a carpet bag. I don't have that.
I've got
or, you know,
5 clown
whatever.
wigs.
Have you ever,
Whatever orifices, whatever. Yeah, but like, I do try to be prepared for anything that could potentially be asked of my department.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm in charge of. My
Yeah.
department. I can't be in charge of anybody else's, but my department, I try to be as prepared as I can potentially be for anything that could possibly happen
Yeah.
in any scenario. And that's where coming to read the script and talking to the directors and their producers and knowing what my budget is and knowing all that stuff. So like I try to be as prepared as I possibly can, above and beyond.
Yeah.
Like, this is the budget, okay, but I'm gonna prepare for here.
And that's
So-
that's an important note too. And Hannah, maybe you can kind of speak to the financial preparation that you can do. Like when you're working out the budget, like let's speak to kind of the young filmmakers that are like in film school and that kind of thing. You know, the
You
ones
mean
that don't
people who
understand the
don't
concept of
care
staying
about the
on
budget
budget, because staying on budget is going to be like one of the most important things for you to do, probably, if you want to make this into a career. But like, how can people prepare within their budget for the unpredictable?
It's called contingency. So a
About
lot
the
of people
lysine
will
contingency.
plan a certain percentage
Jurassic Park,
of their
anybody?
budget. They'll build it in that is for things that go wrong, like a rainy day. Like on that one film last summer when we
yes.
had like 3 rained out days because of
Yeah.
tornadoes
It
and
was
stuff.
It was amazing.
Insane. yeah, amazing. You came and visited
It was
us in
great
the
for
office.
me.
We worked the whole day.
Yeah, I
But
wrapped out
everybody
after
else-
2 hours of work.
But granted, we got to be in the office every day,
Yeah.
and y'all had to be in the mud.
Oh,
with
not
the,
where it like flooded the entire. Okay.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the
The
riverbank.
entire.
Oh, and I've got a story about that. I'll tell a story as soon as you're done with that.
So contingency, you know, and a lot of times people will try and make it work like, you know, especially people coming to Oklahoma, if they use the rebate or if they just don't realize, oh, we're going to have to bring that thing from out of state because it's not here. Like, just being as prepared as possible for the situation you're going into, doing as much research beforehand of what's going to be available to you. Even like people will come in, you know, and we say we're 2 crews deep, but really like we're 1.5. Like we don't have every position covered 2 times over if one film is going and another comes in. So like they'll come in and think they can get their whole crew here and they can't. So they'll have to bring someone in and pay per diem for that person, which is money they get each day for meals and stuff and hotels. And so they're not like factoring that stuff in. But yeah, just building in a contingency, having realistic budget. I mean, like, just think about yourself trying to, like, say, oh, I'm going to only eat out once a month in your own personal budget, and, like, you don't follow through because you suck at meeting your budget goals. Like, think about a film and you have, like, 100 moving components of all these people that want to overspend.
Oh, yeah, my
Or,
God.
you know, like, not even because... It might be because they have to overspend. Like maybe they hire the actor like one day prior and you have to get an $800 wig that you didn't know you were going to have to get prior to that day, you know?
Yeah,
am I right? Am I right?
It's happened.
Just, and you know, when I first, like, I haven't done a lot with budgets. I've just been around them. So it's, I can't say with a lot of experience, but when I first started, like 2.5, 3 years ago. Anyway, I read this book. I was going to do an accounting job, and I read this book by an accountant, a film accountant, and it was basically just like, here's what a budget does, and here's how you can make yourself most marketable. And basically, it was saying, if you're a director, if you're a UPM, if you're a key in a department, like, you are most marketable if you know your budget and you know how to negotiate with that budget. It's like, oh, you're telling me I can't have that. Well, what if we cut one of these man days? Can I have it now? So
Ooh.
that's just a good tip.
That's the cool, like being you and
Yeah,
your
just
fancy,
knowing,
fanciness
okay.
with your budgets and
And
stuff.
I see it with the people that are seasoned. You know, they'll say, how many man days for assistants do I have, or additional grips, or electricians? And so you tell them, okay, we have 5 days budgeted. So they get to the end of the film or last 2 weeks and they're like, hey, we're really not going to need those people. Can we get this light pretty, please?
Yeah.
And it's like, if you haven't gone crazy with expendables, which are things that you buy that you use up and they're not rentals, for anyone listening that doesn't know, then it's like, okay, maybe. But then some line producers are like, no,
Yeah.
those are savings. Thanks.
Man. And like,
It's tricky.
And Neil, you can speak to the location side of things. Like, what are some ways that you would create contingency plans for locations that fall through or something? Because you had to deal with that a couple times.
Oh man. Yeah, like talking to people and like you have a price for a location and they agree upon that, and when it's time to sign the paperwork, they're like, oh well, you know, maybe could we do this much?
Yeah.
You're
Try
like,
to squeeze some more
no,
out of you.
No, we had agreed upon this, and this is what we're going to do. Or like, or sometimes on the other end of that, you get people who are just like, oh no, don't even worry. But like on this last film, I was a locations manager, and we had a few locations where people just refused money. They just would not
really?
take it. Yeah, like we offered them.
That's nice.
We offered them money to use the location, and they were like, no, it's okay. You just go right ahead. We're just glad that you brought the film to our town and shooting here and, you know, representing our town in the way that you are.
Yeah.
So
One of the benefits of shooting in Oklahoma. People are not
Yeah.
burnt out on film sets yet.
Yeah, man.
Jaded.
Not like L.A.
Yeah.
or Atlanta, maybe.
I mean,
Maybe we can start getting some of
might
Atlanta's
be.
work. Maybe they can come over here. Okay.
We might be getting there with some towns, but
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Guthrie might be done
Yeah.
with us at this point.
Maybe one or
God bless
two.
him.
but
Okay. Well, we only have a little bit of time left. So lightning round. Just like try to sum up a story really, really fast of something crazy that happened on set. Something that we haven't mentioned yet.
I mean,
You
don't
want me
start
to go
with
first?
Go ahead.
No. Don't start with me.
I worked on a show. I was a sound assist, and we had a whole lot of characters they had the ZFR and the lavalier mics, and I had forgotten to roll on so we had done probably 16 mics, and I didn't roll on probably 8 of them. And
Oh yeah.
yeah, trust me,
Oh, wait, it was-
everyone
No, I
heard
wasn't
about
there.
that.
He just told me about it.
And yeah, and so let me tell you what, the sound mixer about tore my head off on set. And so that's a good quick one.
You know my thoughts on that.
Yeah,
you were
right.
innocent, Neil.
I
You were
was, yeah,
innocent.
dude.
All
I
right,
was
Shelly.
learning.
No,
Real
not
fast.
me. Not me.
No? Okay. Hannah? Lightning round. Crazy on-set story.
on-set story, crazy. All I can think of is Neil eating all the food from set food, and that's not really a Murphy's Law, but he ate so much pudding
That's right, dude. That's right.
from the country club scene. That's all I can think of.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay, so yeah, there was
There's a lot of
pudding.
set food.
And I mean, they're gonna throw it away, but this is like gourmet stuff we're talking about. So yeah, I probably
It ain't
had
gonna eat itself.
I don't know, at least 3 or 4
Not really a
big
Murphy's
glasses.
Law, but
Oh, man.
Pudding.
yeah.
It was good pudding. I got chocolate drunk. On set. I did.
Classic.
I was.
I'll tell a quick one while Hannah's thinking.
Yeah,
And if you don't have one, it's fine. We'll just
Okay,
move on to
okay.
we'll play a little game and then we'll be wrapping it up. Okay. So I was working on this thing in Jones. Hannah was UPM on this, and we got rained out. But we got rained out so suddenly in that classic Oklahoma way of like, oh, the sky is blue. Ah, the sky is coming down on us. Oh, we're all gonna die. That our equipment, the truck that carries all of the sound gear was sitting open, and all of the sound gear was totally exposed, and the truck just closed up and left before we were able to secure any of the gear. So I make it back to base camp, and the poor intern that was working underneath me, this was like, he was supposed to have locked up the equipment the equipment thing that had all the stuff that was exposed. So he didn't lock it up like he was supposed to. So not only was it totally exposed, but now because we were driving dirt roads and stuff, the equipment had all fallen out. All the drawers were completely fallen out. And let me put it this way. Each drawer has enough microphones to buy your house 3 or 4 times.
No.
It's a lot of money. Like, we're talking easily $100,000 worth of equipment was now covered in
Underground.
water and underwater. Oh my gosh. So in a quick moment of thinking, I created this platform, and we were kind of under this barn. And so I made this platform and everything, and I called on Okie for the PAs to bring every towel and anything that we could, like hair dryers, anything, bring them all. And then they were like, "You mean like all of it?" I mean, all! Bring it all! You don't understand! And so like we had to splay out all the equipment and everything. And the poor intern, I had to leave him to dry all the equipment off and like literally like shaking rain and shaking water out of these mic packs and stuff so that I could go take a gator, which is like how would you describe a gator?
Like a
4-wheel drive vehicle.
Yeah.
cart.
And I had to beeline it back to the set where we had left the sound cart that was also being rained on. And so I had to secure all that crazy stuff, but it was just so fast.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like, if you don't have a contingency plan, if you take away anything from this episode, if you do not plan ahead, and if you do not have contingency plans, your entire department might be underwater.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Shelly, so like, have you ever had, so an instance where you do something to an actor or an actress, like God forbid, cut their hair, and the director is like, I don't like it. And the hair's already cut or dyed or the makeup is done. Because I worked on a period film where the makeup artists were trying to make her look period.
Yeah.
But the actor, actress, or however you would like to say, hated it.
Yeah.
And it was just a horrible deal because they could never agree on their makeup, know? So have you ever had any instances? Something
Actually,
that you just couldn't take back.
Actually, no. Because of planning, because of
There you go.
contingency,
Yeah.
Meeting.
because like you have your prep, you have your days, you have all the stuff. So one of the projects I worked on, it's, I'm talking with the director and I'm like, okay, so a few of these actors want wigs and some of the, everyone else is going to be natural. It's going to be easy. We just do them in the morning. We get them done. But a few of them want wigs. And so I've ordered them in already. We can have a trial. We can look at it. And the director's like, I want 0 wigs. I don't want the stunt players. I don't want anybody doubles. I don't want anybody to have wigs. Wigs look horrible on everybody. No wigs across the board. I'm like, seriously? Like, that's like half my job. Okay. So I'm like, okay, so the director, who is the boss of everybody, says no wigs. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Like, they're hiring doubles that don't look anything like the actors. And
Really?
so
Not even wigs on doubles?
he did not want wigs on doubles, stunt doubles, photo doubles. Like, there's levels of people that have to look like people. So I go to the first idea. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, I have this budget. I can get wigs. The director says no wigs. He's like, just get cheap wigs, have them on standby just in case. So I do. And I get wigs for every actor, like main actor in this. And I have them on standby. We use them so many times.
Yeah.
So many times. Like, I would have been screwed if I did not have these. And I'm like, that was like my gut feeling. I need wigs. So I just I stockpiled wigs. And I had them for every actor that could possibly have come through. And I had it on standby. And because stunt actors that came through did not look like them. The ones that I could give cuts to or color to, I did. But the ones who did not look like anything. And we had, this was a month-long, multiple month-long production. And we had multiple people playing different actors. So, even if I colored this one person's hair, the next person that came in was not the same color. So I had wigs for everybody, and it's just that. I'm prepare for.
So
anything.
it's almost like plan ahead, even if they tell you not to plan.
Even if they tell you not to.
Don't listen.
We don't have the budget for that. I'm gonna still do it.
Yeah.
So but luckily I had the budget for that one, and I just planned for everybody that could potentially ever need a double, stunt double, photo double, anything. I had them covered. So that was nice. But it was just I'm supposed to do this kind of under the radar, here's one wig at a time. Here's one wig at a time. Yeah, but it was definitely I prepared as much as I possibly could prepare for.
Wow.
There's other times you don't prepare.
That's crazy.
Or you cannot prepare enough.
Yeah.
When ice storms come through,
There's nothing you can do.
and then
there is nothing
you're
you
shooting
can
a summertime scene.
Yeah.
And everyone
Done
is
that.
in,
Full
not
winter gear, yeah.
wardrobed or hair or makeup or whatever they could possibly be. They're not prepared for the elements, but we're shooting a scene where they're out in the elements.
Yeah.
And we're out there with we have all our giant coats on.
Yeah.
And I had 2 blankets on at one point, and by the time I got back to the trailer, blankets are frozen solid.
Oh my God.
I'm taking them off and setting them on the floor, and they're almost standing on their own.
They still shot that scene?
They shot for a little bit, and then everybody got frozen.
Yeah.
So we had half a day, and they're like, well, nobody can drive home in this, so we should cut the day. We should.
To me, I can see how that wouldn't be a checkmate because very, very rarely is it actually a checkmate on the day, like where we have to wrap out the day because there's just nothing what are you gonna do. Like, at least plan for like an indoor scene.
Yeah,
I mean, you can check weather stuff.
Weathermen for a reason.
Yeah.
Unless it's like Blair Witch Project where it's all outdoors.
It was at the end of the film, so there's only so many more scenes left. And it was a location that we only had a day in.
Oh, jeez.
Oh.
Oof.
And so it's like, will we shoot now or we don't ever shoot? Did not make it in the movie.
Of course not.
Did not make it in the movie.
The most painful day will never make it in the movie.
Because it's freaking snowing, and people are
fix it in
in
post.
Tiny leather pieces.
Yeah.
So that's not making it in the movie. You can't do that. You can't.
Well, we got enough time to play. We're gonna play 2 quick, very, very quick games. This first one is just fun and because it involves everybody. It's called Progressive Story. Basically, the way that this works is that we're gonna somebody can come up with the genre. What's a genre that we can play?
Coming of age.
A coming of age story called
No.
No. So the way this works is each one of us can only tell one sentence to this story. We're gonna go around in the circle until the story is told. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Any questions?
No, say it again.
Okay. Each of us is only going to tell one sentence to the story.
Okay.
And then we're just going to go around in a circle telling our progressive story until the story.
So you can't jump ahead of someone if you yours is like the right.
Yep.
Okay.
So it's
Wait, are we
me.
using our token thing?
No. That's going to be for
Oh, that's
the
later.
last
Okay,
game.
I was like,
Because that one,
okay.
you guys get to
You guys are
screw
so
with me
ready.
and Neil on that one. So, okay, so this is a progressive story, a coming of age tale.
Coming of age
called
tale called
No. All right. Once upon a time, there was a young boy named No.
No was only 13 years old.
And he was in a small rural town in Oklahoma.
He really, really, really liked comic books and having sleepovers with his best friend Thomas.
He also liked killing small animals.
Oh, no.
One day, while he was out killing small animals, he realized that Thomas saw him.
Thomas was worried in the beginning.
But then he realized that he had a partner in crime.
See, Thomas also enjoyed the act of killing small animals. Semicolon, squirrels were his favorite.
Thomas and his friend No were really having a heyday with killing small animals. And the years went on. And soon the small animals just weren't enough.
Then No met a beautiful young lady.
Named Yes.
Yes!
Yes, however, started to say no to No, and No did not like being told no.
See, she was a veterinarian. No, I hate this game. Go.
Yes was a veterinarian and had discovered No's secret. And when No told her, when she asked him if he was guilty of it, he said no. And she said, yes, you are guilty. And he was like, no. And soon they were just calling out each other's names.
And No looked at Yes and said, no. All right, yeah.
And that's when Trevor ran in and stabbed her and killed her dad. And he said, I've killed that vampire. And then they fell in love and then lived happily ever after.
That was a disaster.
That was terrible.
That was the worst thing I've ever heard.
that
It
was-
got dark real quick.
It's okay.
I'm kind of gonna say you.
I derailed it and then like jumped out.
You did.
Yeah.
You
You're
did.
like, yeah, bring that back in.
Now screw you.
It's like You're welcome.
And we didn't have a contingency plan. See what happens.
What happens?
Yeah.
Usually you can just take what I dish out and do amazing
I wasn't
stuff with
expecting
it.
that. That wasn't a yes and. That was kind of like a nah.
And then
Well,
she was a
Here it
veterinarian.
is. Deal with it.
Okay,
Love
so
it.
we're gonna
Live it, love
play
it, like it.
one last game, and I want to play this game because it is kind of it's the closest thing I could think of that would be a fun one for us to like deal with something unexpected. This is a game called Whose Line Is It Anyway? It's the name of a show, but it's also the name of a fun game where Neil and I are going to be playing out a scene, and we're going to have these lines of dialogue that we have no idea what these lines of dialogue are. You guys have written your lines of dialogue on 3 Okie Show stickers
Don't smudge it.
that smudge quite easily. So we're going to set these here on the ground. And as we're playing out the scene, at any point in the scene, either Neil or myself can take a card and read the line. Does that make sense, Neil?
Yes.
Okay, now Neil has never played this game before.
No, sir.
So
We'll see how it goes.
forgive us. Forgive us in advance.
Can we do the sound effects?
Can't? Yes, please.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
We'll combine games.
Okay.
Okay, so let's get a place. Where's a location?
Coffee shop is too obvious.
And
But
so true.
we could do a coffee shop.
I was gonna say Honolulu. I don't know
We're in a coffee shop in Honolulu.
Waikiki Beach.
Okay, and let's see. What's a natural disaster?
Mudslide.
A mudslide in a coffee shop in Honolulu.
Very relevant.
Yeah.
And I don't have my bell, so just imagine that.
Okay.
there, okay. All right. So we're in a coffee shop in Honolulu, and there's a mudslide. All right. 3, 2, 1. Here's your macchiato, sir.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
That'll be $7.95.
$7? There's too much foam in this drink, man.
You've already taken a sip. You already owe me the money.
Okay, I'll give it to you. $7 though. That's ridiculous, man.
It's really high end.
Yeah.
You're in Honolulu.
In Honolulu? Oh yeah, yeah. I'm actually from Oklahoma.
Oh.
I'm here on vacation.
Well,
And,
aloha.
Yeah, I came to kind of like get away from all these like tornadoes and stuff that are happening back home in Oklahoma. So,
Well, we definitely don't have any tornadoes here
Yeah.
in Honolulu.
yeah,
Especially not in this particular coffee shop. But we do have some mudslides every once in a while.
mudslides. What are?
Oh my God. What is that?
I th-
I think it's a mudslide happening right now.
a mudslide.
Sir, take your coffee and get underneath the table.
Hey, Sundays. Can I get 2 meat bags to my set?
I mean, this is a coffee shop. We don't really have, it's not a butcher shop, but I mean,
Look, dude,
you know
the
what?
mudslade's
Hold
happening.
me, sir.
I need
Hold
my
me.
meat
I'm
bags.
a meat bag enough. Hold
need
me and
it.
cover me in this.
You're
time
gonna
of
be a
need.
meat bag by the time this mudslide's over.
Okay, all right. Well, during this particular time, I'll just refer to our coffee shop mudslide manual. It says in this particular moment, we're supposed to say out loud, "They just licked him clean and spit in his mouth." Typical day.
He
Feel comforted, right?
I do feel better. He must have been covered in mud. Who is he? Is that Honolulu? I don't know.
Is he like figuratively in that like Honolulu is the he?
Yeah, right. This is a place.
Yeah,
Are
yeah,
we-
totally. I mean,
They
that's,
have mudslides, but I came to get away from tornadoes, and you guys are having mudslides. This is a terrible place. For
I know
vacation.
normally we have volcanic eruptions, but today's a special day
Why?
because there's a mudslide.
That's ridiculous.
I know.
I can't believe that. You know what we would say back in Oklahoma?
What would you say?
The fish? It's for the vegetarians.
Ding, 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 ding. What? And on that note,
That was great.
that was good.
The fish?
Shelly, Hannah, and Lady, thank you so much for being on the show. You guys are awesome. Where can we find you online, Shelly?
Oh, Facebook, Shelly Dapolito, and then I also have Shelly Dapolito Hairstylist, and also the Barbary. I own a shop in Norman. It's called the Barbary. Yeah. Also, the BarbaryNorman.com is a website that is slightly not updated,
Perfect.
but I have it. and
And
Twitter and Instagram.
There you go. And Hannah, for anybody that's needing a UPM in their life or an APOC assistant production
POC
coordinator,
anything.
production office coordinator,
Also,
where can we find you?
Hannah G. Marchant at gmail.com. If you friend me on Facebook and I don't know you or haven't met you in person, I'm not going to friend you back.
Who are you?
Han Marchand, Instagram. Also, though, if you look creepy, I won't let you follow me. So try and find me in a network.
So
Creepy.
Stick with the email. Lady, where can we find you?
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
I have every site. You won't need me though. I have no skills.
Also, I'm not ever doing film.
But I'm really friendly and have a great personality.
Neil, where can we find you online?
We can find me on Instagram at NeilNewbie95, and you can also find me on Facebook.
Boom. And of course, you can follow us at Okie Show on Twitter and Instagram. Of course, on Facebook, where you can find the live stream videos. And then you can also go to YouTube and look at our videos there. We had a domain name. We had a domain name. YouTube took our domain name until we have 1,000 subscribers, which is bullshit.
Rude.
So just look up Okie Show on YouTube and we'll show up. Okay? Cool. Also, OkieShowShow.com. And that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for being on the show.
It's been so great.
Be prepared for the unexpected.
Absolutely.
Go out and kill small animals.
No, that's
Crazy.
And we'll see you guys in the next 2 weeks.
That person.
Bye.
Okie Show.